Hello, I am Priyadarshini Karve. I am the director of Samuchit Envirotech, a social enterprise based in Pune and working with the motto Enabling Sustainability. I am also currently the national convener of Indian Network on Ethics and Climate Change, or INEC. Our motto is People's Voices in Policy Choices. This is the fifth episode of the series. Let's try some thought experiments. Links to the previous episodes are in the description, and links to the future episodes will be added as and when new videos are made. In the previous episodes, I have shared ideas around a different strategy for healthcare and on ensuring better food security in a disaster-prone future. If you feel that it is too daunting to address large-scale systemic challenges, you can focus on the challenges faced and likely to be faced in difficult situations by you and your family. For example, if you are going to be caught in a flood or a cyclone, you may get some food packets thrown down from a helicopter or something, but how are you going to cook the food? Your LPG supply or your PNG line or even your electricity may be totally off. The firewood around you will be wet. And what about safe potable water or safe sanitation? Let's talk about some of these issues in this and the next episode. About 70 years ago, charcoal was a widely used cooking fuel in urban India. It was pushed out by kerosene and LPG because the demand for charcoal was causing widespread deforestation. However, you don't necessarily need to cut down trees to make charcoal. You can use the garden or farm waste from your own backyard to make renewable charcoal. Many simple and non-polluting processes and technologies are available for this. The charcoal needs to be stored in an airtight and watertight container, but it is not explosive and not easily flammable. So it is a relatively safe fuel to store. There are some highly fuel efficient and non-polluting cook stove designs for using this type of charcoal as a fuel. You can acquire such a stove and at least a week's supply of renewable charcoal may be stored in the house at any given time. Under normal conditions, you should get into the habit of converting your own garden or farm waste into renewable charcoal and at least once a week use the charcoal fueled cooking device to ensure that it remains functional and you do not forget how to use it. If you are stranded in a disaster with no other cooking energy supply, this can be your lifeline. Samuchit Envirotech offers some products for this, but there are many eco-friendly and safe technologies available out there, both for charring and for cooking with charcoal. Just search for the information and you will find many resources. Another important thing to consider is this. If we are relying only on grid electricity for our lighting and appliances and only on LPG or PNG for cooking, we are taking a huge risk in the face of the many disasters that are highly likely to impact the distribution of these energy carriers. So even under normal circumstances, we need to distribute our eggs across multiple baskets. We need to be using hybrid energy systems. An investment in a rooftop solar system with a good battery backup to supplement the grid supply will be worthwhile in this context. Another worthwhile investment is a household urban biogas plant operating primarily on kitchen and food waste and if possible also attached with your toilet. This provides the added advantage of not being dependent on external systems to manage your organic waste, which can be a critical factor in maintaining healthy and hygienic conditions around us in the face of a disaster. If you are using such hybrid energy systems routinely, in case you get stranded in a disaster, you have a greater chance of continuing to have access to at least a limited amount of energy, which could be the difference between survival and death. Some of you may be wondering why I am not mentioning solar cooking, for which no external fuel or energy source is required to be stored. Yes, I totally agree that solar cooking can be a very good option for self-reliance for cooking energy. Some wonderful solar cooker products are now available in the market. However, I am not prioritizing this as a fallback option for climate disasters in the Indian context. This is because most of the climate disasters that are likely to hit different parts of India will be triggered by heavy rainfall. If it is raining and the conditions are overcast, availability of sufficient solar radiation cannot be taken for granted. A couple of my friends who are promoting renewable energy for cooking suggest the interesting approach of community ownership of cooking energy devices and kitchen equipment. This concept has two possibilities. One focuses on using the shared appliances by rotation by each family to do its own cooking. The other approach is that of the community members taking turns in teams to cook collectively for everyone. These are interesting approaches that may prove very useful in a disaster situation. There are many social and cultural barriers that need to be overcome to mainstream such approaches. However, there already are institutional kitchens where daily meals are being cooked for maybe a few hundred to a few thousand people. To start with, these should consider transitioning to renewable energy based cooking. This will definitely save money and time and reduce waste. So there are direct benefits in making this shift for institutional cooking. If some successful models of community level cooking are seen, the concept can spread. After all, nothing unites people like making and eating food together. So this will build closer ties within the community, which in itself is a great strategy for facing disasters. These kitchens must be powered by a hybrid of various renewable energy systems. This will ensure greater energy security. Thus, we may have a clean wood or charcoal stove, a biogas plant, a solar cooker, battery operated food processing devices with solar wind hybrid power, etc. Such a kitchen is more likely to remain at least partially functional in any disaster. And of course, it must be connected with a community food production patch that I talked about in the last episode so that something will always be available to cook. What else can we do to ensure some level of energy security for everyone, even in an extreme disaster situation? I look forward to knowing your thoughts on this. Thank you.